Welcome, hunters, to the Hunters Hub episode 41. Today, we're going to be talking about story. I mean, again, but in a different way. So,
I'm going to specify,
first of all,
not stories, story.
I said story. I said
I was
singular.
specifying for the viewers.
Listeners.
I appreciate the specification.
All right. Well, this is Fortuan. Hello, everybody. With me again, faithful co-host Toaster.
Aloha, attractive people.
Returning guest Mad Wolf.
Hello.
And new guest Naraki.
Naraki, like the villain from Inuyasha, for the weebs out there. Except Fortuan because he hates anime.
Ooh.
I just gog darn it, people, and your anime. I'm surrounded. I watched One Punch Man for you all. I watched it and I liked it. Come on.
Fortuan hates anime and anime fans.
Anything anime.
Actually, most people won't realize it's from an anime because the last letter is different. Because my country changed how the name is spelled because of a dirty joke on the name.
Really?
Yes.
What country are you from, if you don't mind me asking?
Brazil.
Oh, Brazil.
Ooh.
So, you see, Brazil has this interesting thing where it changed a lot of names from characters from anime because they sound dirty. Normally they have something to do with the nether regions of the male physique. But
so I heard this happened with the Puke's name as well.
Actually, I don't know.
Was that for your country or was that another one?
I don't know because I play everything in English, so I don't know. But the interesting thing is that happens with almost everything, but didn't happen with Pikachu.
Huh.
And Pikachu, the first four letters actually mean dick in Portuguese. But because because Pikachu is said Pikachu in every single language, and Nintendo is goddamn Nintendo, they didn't let it change on Brazil or Portugal for that matter.
So now in the anime it says Pika Pika.
Yeah,
then,
it says that, and
Pikachu.
everyone with a 5-year-old mentality laughs of that.
Yeah, it's basically
Nice.
saying pee.
That's fun.
There is actually a pretty famous football player right now that goes by that nickname, and I laugh every time I hear it because I'm a 5-year-old.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, before we get started, let's thank Wolfie Melon for the music that ended a while ago.
Yay, music.
Thank
Good
you,
music.
Wolfie.
And then Jeremy Clark for our little logo, wherever you can find him. And r/Monster Hunter World for being our friends.
They're pretty good friends, I think.
Ready to be nice. Oh my.
Yeah. All right. So, off to what we'd like to do. First time we have a guest on is do introductions. So,
Dun, 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 dun.
help me out here. Naraki.
Naraki.
Yeah, you can go with that.
Cool.
You should have done at least
how did
saying that.
I won't hate you if you fail to say my name. Don't worry.
So, how did you get into Monster Hunter?
So, I was never a PlayStation kid because stuff like game consoles in Brazil is prohibitively expensive. The PS3 went for $10,000 when it came out here.
Oh my gosh.
Christ.
Yes.
Jagger is Christ.
Were they being sold on the black market? Jeez.
No, you could go to a store and it would say $10,000 because our economy sucks a lot.
That is dramatic.
That said, the PlayStation 2 here in Brazil, the PlayStation and the Xbox 360 were the most pirated machines under the sun I have ever seen in my life. You could literally find everything you wanted that was pirated, up to the 360, up until it died. Then that stopped a little bit with the PS4 and the Xbox One.
Wow.
Wow.
So
10K, man. That's a car right there.
yeah, because of that, you either only bought stuff for real, and you bought very little amounts of that, or you were rich, which is not the case for most people, or you pirated everything. I was never a Sony kid. I grew up using going to my friend's house and play on his PlayStation, or going to my cousin's house and play on his Nintendo 64, and we played a lot of Mario 64.
Yeah.
A lot. God, I still have nightmares about that game because of that.
Rainbow Road, everyone's nightmare.
So I first heard of Monster Hunter on the third game, Monster Hunter Tri, because I went to a party, and there was a Nintendo Wii, and one of the games they had there was Monster Hunter Tri. So I was that kid that stayed there with another friend, and we played a lot of the save that was already there, while everyone else was doing something else. And I fell in love with the game. It was really hard because I didn't know English at the time. So it kind of went through the motion. I think the first web...
That's kind of like when we play a game in Japanese.
Like, I couldn't do Monster Hunter Generations 2 because, like, in Japanese, and I was familiar with the Monster Hunter series before. So playing a Monster Hunter in a foreign language, and it's your first Monster Hunter, sounds just absolutely terrible.
Well, you see, most games up until 2000... When did Gears of War 3 came out? Does anyone remember?
Gosh, that would be like 2006 or something. Like this is way back now. 2006.
The third game of
early.
the Gears of War series was the first main, like, big game I remember. It was being only translated, the subtitles, the menus, not voice acted. Only, like, the base stuff was being translated into Portuguese.
Wow.
So you either knew English or you just did it. Like, you didn't have much of a choice. Which was one of the reasons I self-taught me English, so I could play video games.
Okay.
That's awesome.
I mean, that's a good reason.
Yeah. So we didn't know what we were doing. We died a lot. The game was... The point of the game was saved on La Guia Cruz. So that was my first monster. It was goddamn La Guia Cruz. And I was using a Greatsword, if I remember right. Yeah.
And Greatsword was not good on motion controls.
Yeah, he had a controller, I think.
Oh.
So that wasn't as bad. He also had the wheel for Mario Kart, which was pretty fun.
So I was right about it being 2006 for Gears of War 1.
Oh.
Gears of War 3 was 2011.
Yeah.
I just...
2011, 2012 was when Gears of War and Assassin's Creed and the big games started coming out with menus and subtitles in Portuguese, but I still don't think we have much stuff like fully voiced acted in Portuguese, because that's kind of expensive here to do. Most of our voice actors, it's like with you guys is Nolan North and what's the other guy? The two same guys do every voice for video games.
Matthew Mercer.
Yeah,
Mercer.
Yeah,
that's it.
The two same people do the same thing for everything, and we have kind of similar thing here with our voice actors. They do the same thing for TV, for movies, for cartoons, for video games. So, and you want to get a recognizable voice to do your stuff, so it's really expensive, and most people don't want to pay that here, which is why Nintendo got out of Brazil a few years ago. That still pisses me off to this day, because if those things were expensive already, god damn it.
Oh man,
but
sorry to hear that. That sucks.
I bought a 3DS. Like, my parents went to travel to the United States for their anniversary, like their wedding anniversary, and they brought me back a 3DS. So I bought Monster Hunter 4, and I already knew English by that point, so that was the first game I really played.
Hey, that was my first Monster Hunter I actually tried in.
I used a lot of Insect Glaive on it. I really liked the Insect Glaive on 4. It was really fun. And then I didn't buy another Nintendo console, so I stayed with 4. I didn't bought the Generations at all. I played the demo, but I was on a Pokemon kind of streak at the time, so I only played Pokemon for a while on my 3DS.
So that makes sense.
Okay.
That was like the time when X and Y and Sun and Moon were out.
So I was playing Pokemon non-stop because the Nintendo DS was another thing that you pirate the hell out of it. If you had we called R4 over here. It was a small SD card that you could put on a device with the USB connector. Then you put that on your computer. Then you went to a website and downloaded every single game under the sun for the Nintendo DS, and you played it. So
it's amazing how much of it could fit on one SD card.
Yep, the compression was fantastic. I still can't believe how many games I had on that. So I used my DS and my 3DS for a while there. I couldn't play Generations 2 because I broke the analog stick on my 3DS by playing so much Smash Brothers.
Yep.
Not an uncommon story.
I played way too much Smash Brothers and I broke the analog stick. So I kind of stopped playing my 3DS by that point. I didn't play Ultra Sun and Moon on. So I only played Sun and Moon, which I think are mediocre games compared to the rest, but that's just me. And then
did you ever?
They had good birds. I was a bird trainer.
Yeah, they had good birds. I really liked some of the designs. They always have solid designs.
Yeah.
And then I always had an Xbox. Like I bought the original one. Then my father brought the 360 when it launched with Halo 3, and I played that until I got all of the achievements. So I was that guy with the max level multiplayer with the katana on the back and the Hayabusa armor. I was that kid.
Oh boy.
I played a lot of Halo 3 multiplayer. Then we bought the Xbox One when it came out because it was, as I said, less expensive than the PlayStation 4. It was like PlayStation 4 was $5,000 or $6,000, and the Xbox One we managed to get at a discount because we had a 360, so we just traded. And then I was really happy when Word was announced and I saw it was coming to the Xbox. I was like, yay, Monster Hunter on a goddamn console I can play. It's not a Chinese only goddamn MMO, so I can play it. And just this week I broke the 600-hour mark.
Oof.
Nice. Still haven't done that myself. Still at 575.
And I got my first attack boost due after I sold my first one because I was drunk. Yeah, wasn't fun. Right now I'm trying to collect every single piece of equipment and weapon on the game and make builds with them. I have about 8 pages of builds now. The Lunastra weapons really don't help because you need a lot of materials. If you're trying to make every single one of them, there are 42 weapons, so you need 42 Lunastra gems, 42 Basilgeuse gems, 42 Nergigante ones, 42 Xenodiva ones. So I'm just going with the rest, the best stuff first before I go completely nuts with those. Though I have a lot of Basil gems. I have like 27 or something.
I don't even want to talk about how many basil, just gems in general I got from crown hunting. It's ridiculous. I started selling birdweaver gems.
I have 34 of those. Wish I had wyvern gems because those use a lot.
I have 50 plus wyvern gems, and I think I broke the 120 mark of birdweaver gems. Christ. That's when I started.
You have a bad luck with crowns, man, because you I listened to the podcast and you said some of those. I was like, but I got my two crowns on like the 15th hunt, and we were like on the hundreds.
My desire sensor was the crowns, not the gems.
Like
that's where the desire sensor got me.
I got both the Devil Joe and the Lunastra on the 10th hunt, I think, for both crowns.
120 for Lunastra. 120.
Jesus.
Yep. So we'd like to ask you just a couple more questions. What is your favorite weapon to use?
Right now is the great sword without focus because I'm not an
Okay.
elitist and I don't think it's a necessary skill. Not going to name any
Okay.
names of no famous YouTuber who say that.
Okay. I haven't been watching recently, so I don't even know what you're talking about.
I hope most people will not.
And then we like to know your top 3 monsters.
Okay, so the first one is Lagiacruz because it was literally my first monster because I'm that lucky, I guess. I
Okay.
went back on try on a friend's Wii U when Ultimate came out, and I played it and I killed Lagiacruz in the what's the other one? Ivory, the subspecies,
Yes, the Ivory Lagiacrus, yes.
or is it Abyssal? Is the Abyssal on Try Ultimate or is it on 4? I don't remember.
Try Ultimate had the Ivory Lagiacrus, yes.
I played a lot of that on his Wii U, and I just love him. He's like sleek, cool. His movement both on land and on underwater is so fluid to me. Like the way he charges up to zap you underwater is really cool to me.
Yeah, I like that twisting motion he does.
I like the
It's
whole
really
idea of the red spikes glowing with the electricity and then they go black because they are burnt out. That's a really cool touch, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So what's your number 2?
Number 2 probably be God damn it. The Paulumo.
Okay.
It really saddens me that Paulumo doesn't have a unique model weapon in World. Really, really saddens me that all of his weapons are like just the skin covering the metal or bone structure. I really wish he had a unique model because he's such a cool monster. Like
I had to think about that. You're right. Yeah. I was like, wait a minute, because I don't use that weapon. I mean, I used to use longsword, and I don't know if there's a Palumu longsword.
no, but Basil has a unique longsword, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
No, but like he doesn't have a single unique weapon. I really think that's if I have one big criticism with World is that they didn't make at least one unique weapon for every single monster, no matter how small or big in the importance scale.
Right.
But I really like the way he moves, the way he attacks, the whole idea of this giant bat growing bigger to be more intimidating, but still getting the hell kicked out of him by everyone. Like everything that
Poor guy.
everything that lives or invades the Coral Highlands kicks his butt, for he's still the best. He's so fluffy and cute, and I just love him so much. He's so cute.
Nice. So, what's the number 3?
Number 3 is a toss-up between Valhazak and God, what's the name? Gogmazius.
Okay.
Because I'm a really big Dark Souls fan, and they are literally just bosses from Dark Souls. If you put them in a Dark Souls game as they exist, they would not be outside of their environment. Valhazak especially because he's literally an undead dragon, and his female armor, it's basically a Dark Souls set. It's like really you could, if you show that to someone who didn't play Dark Souls, like that's the female set specifically, and the Xenodiva one too, the female one with that whole veil. You'll say, oh, is that from Dark Souls? Because it's really on point there. Both the Valhazak and the Xenodiva female ones. And I just really like the idea of that dragonfish living underwater, but not underwater mountains. And he has the whole Odogaron skin covering him that protects him from dragon element. But when you break the skin, he becomes vulnerable. He has so many design hints that are so cool.
Huh.
And I farmed him a lot
Yeah.
because I had a lot of luck with his tempered hunts, always getting like 4 and 5 boxes. So I really got accustomed to him. And Gogmaz,
I liked Val. I still use Val set. I still very much
yeah,
use Val
Valve set is really strong. I love the Gamma set for him.
Sorry about that.
His Gamma gloves are perfect for Nergigante weapons, like most of the Nergigante weapons, because they have great slots and they already have all of the dragon attack you're going to need for the weapon. So it's like a perfect match. And Gogmazios is, before Kulve, was the best example of a giant monster fight, I think. The whole Dragonator stuck on his back is a really cool detail, just how brutal he is. And when he starts,
Yeah.
he's like, "Oh boy, this is not going to be fun." And when he flies up, you're like, "Well, I'm dead. That's it. Run for your life, not surviving whatever he's going to do."
Right. Yeah, it's a tough monster. That's the only monster I have never soloed.
Yeah, he is really, really hard to fight when you're solo, because there's so much going on. And if he focuses you with that laser of his, you're dead.
Yeah, for me it was timing out. It wasn't dying. It was timing out. So Toaster, go ahead and ask your final question.
All right. If you've listened to this cast, you should know by now what the final question is. But if you do not,
I know.
What monster would you date?
It would be... God damn it, I blanked out. What's the elephant on Generations?
Gammoth?
Yes.
You go with Gammoth?
Yes, I have a few reasons. First, I love...
Okay, I want to hear them.
First, it's a female. Every time. Lore-wise, it's a female. It's already pretty cool to me because when they specify that it's a female or male lore-wise, it makes... Like, they give a reason, like... Mizutsune, it's only males we hunt on Generations lore-wise because they are the only ones who go nuts with the mating season. Same goes for Black Diablos. When you have a lore reason for that monster being that way, it makes it a lot cooler for me.
Okay.
I love mammoths. I think they're really cool animals. I love her armor. Her armor, both the male and the female one for me are so cool. The whole Cyclops motif going on with the male one.
Yeah, I actually like that armor a lot.
I do like the fluffiness of the armor.
Yeah, the like the whole belt, but still looking like a thing. Like the tusks looking like bone. The bone tusk on the armor. It's really cool. The hat for the female is really cool to me too. That long ass hat. And she just seems like she would hit you up on a cold night. You guys probably don't get that because you're living on on hell right now. Toaster especially.
Yeah, it's a little higher.
That's him.
I used to live in Illinois though, so I understand cold winters.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, dude.
I was glad I don't have to deal with them anymore.
when you've been in an ice storm that completely coats your car in 3 inches of ice, yeah, you're in cold country.
So I just imagine myself like sleeping on one of her tusks, like it has the perfect curvature for you to put a blanket,
like a hammock.
Yeah, like put a hammock between the two tusks and sleeping there while she balances you good night. I don't know. It sounds really cool to me. Plus her fights.
I'll say, wasn't one of her cinematics like the cinematics showing her like there was like a cave like in this space underneath her that had just formed because the snow had just formed around her.
Yeah. Plus,
so I imagine that cave would be really nice and insulated and stuff.
Plus, she beats the hell out of Tigrex, and I hate Tigrex with a passion. I really hate Tigrex. He is such an annoying bastard.
The enemy of my enemy.
I hate every single incarnation of that monster. I cannot understand how people like him.
What's the worst version?
Probably the fire one, because he's so much gung-ho about everything. It's like, literally no chill, and that makes sense because he's fire. But he's so annoying.
All right.
Okay.
That was the one that had the explosive roar, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, he's talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah. Oh god, the nightmares.
Why can't I remember his name?
I call
Yeah,
him
Matt-
Fire Tigrex. I don't know the specific name of.
I think it was Molten Tigrex.
Yeah,
Is the
Molten.
Yeah.
Yes, Molten.
What's worse than a Tigrex? A Tigrex that uses fire and blast. Why not? Said
We had-
no one ever.
Mad Wolf. I don't remember what your answer for that was.
Which one for the favorite, or which monster I would do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said Beetlejuice because I would be on his back while we're flying and
I
dropping
remember that, and
exploding
you would
turrets.
That's
be
right.
singing the Aladdin
Yeah,
song.
the Aladdin
Yeah,
song.
I remember
Yes. Yes, and then dropping exploding poo on people.
I just
And
remember
monsters.
the NHC video with Raid
The monster shots. Oh
with
my goodness,
with
that was
Raid
great.
with Raid Gaming, the last one he put out. God, that was so funny.
Yeah, the mating dance between a Seregios and a Beetlejuice.
And Joy's
was
interpretations
so funny.
of that British guy. God, that video is
Yeah.
so funny.
The Blue Planet guy.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
David
Yeah.
David Attenborough.
yeah, David
right?
Attenborough.
Yeah.
That video is so funny.
Speaking of, I want to point out something. Planet Earth 2 is now on Netflix,
Ooh, nice.
and I have been
Ooh.
having the most relaxing time before bed now because
I hope that means there's going to be a round planet too.
what?
It's the parody that BBC.
Oh, that's
does
right. I forgot about that.
themselves.
Yeah, but
I love Round Planet.
I love Planet Earth so much, and I just wanted to share my excitement for number
Planet-
2 being on Netflix because
That's really
man,
good. It's really good. It's a really good documentary.
I can't get over the narrator just being someone who's just like getting frustrated with his job while he's narrating. It's just so funny. He's like, and Becky, where is my panini?
see, we
Oh,
really
Most
need
Jesus.
someone
people
to do
have no idea what a panini is.
we really need somebody to do a Planet Earth for Monster Hunter. I think that'd be fun.
Yep.
Radio Gaming has a series
I
where
could
he
do
kind of
it.
does that. He likes.
I'm the monster ecologist. I can do it.
That's true.
So, let's get into the main topic here. We're going to talk about story in Monster Hunter, and we're necessarily not going to talk about Monster Hunter World specifically, or because we went into an episode very in depth on what we thought about the story.
I mean,
spoilers. I don't like
it's
it.
either World or Monster Hunter 4. You really have no other story in Monster Hunter outside of stories.
I mean, it's there, but it's in the text, and I mean, who wants to read that?
Yeah.
So,
I do.
Nerd.
I mean, there's some good snippets. Yeah, like I always talk about the Monobolist
Yeah.
thing. You know why we can't have more than 4 hunters. But there's what we're more going to get into is how can you tell a good Monster Hunter story. So I guess we're going to throw out each of our ideas here. I'm going to go last because I mean everyone's heard mine if they've listened to the Sohel.
I had a real quick thing to open up with, actually, if you wanted to. It's a simple one. It doesn't
What's
require a ton of explanation. Is first off, what's your favorite one they've done? They have done, like the actual team has done so far.
It's probably gonna
Is
go
it-
first.
Yeah.
In terms of like the idea, it's probably 4 because the idea of the whole virus with Gore Magala and Shaguru Magala, it's a really cool idea. Like the whole self-defense mechanism, and they are really cool monsters to begin with. How everything on that game ties around that, how even the mechanical stuff with the virus, like make the monster stronger. Is like when you can make story and gameplay flow together like that so well, is when you achieve the highest peak on video game storytelling to me. And 4 did that really well by tying the virus with how it affected your gameplay. But if I had to say favorite, it would be World because it just gives you so much to think about. It expands a lot on what you can think and say about the world of Monster Hunter, and expands the horizon of the series as a whole. Leaves a lot of questions open for interpretation that it's cool too. Like not to a lost level of annoyingness. They're open
Right.
questions, but they're still fun to think about. And
Mhm.
they have characters, which something Monster Hunter usually doesn't have. Like they have characters you remember for a reason outside of their clothing, like the guild girl from past games.
Oh, come on. I remember the man. The man was awesome.
Yeah, sure you do. Like they started that with Monster Hunter 4 and the Ace Hunters, the Ace Commander, and all that.
Yeah.
And they're making that short movie about him, which has me excited.
Yeah.
And
Huh.
and that's about it. I like the way they went about with the whole Elder Dragon traversing between the continents, and especially on the Rotten Vale, and Xeno'jiva. Like I have my own theories, but like the implications of Xeno'jiva being a thing and the Rotten Vale being a thing, it's really scary when you start to think about it. Like if what I
Yeah.
theorize is correct, because I don't think the Xeno'jiva we kill in the story is the first one. I think it's a species like that existed before, and like they just put a larvae in an egg, and that egg absorbs the energy of the elder dragons. And like they have been getting progressively stronger and stronger and stronger, and they put them there at the start of the continent because we have that whole map that shows we have like explored nothing of the new world. There's this whole giant part to the east. I have no idea what
Right.
it is, and
That's
and
true.
I think like the Xeno'jiva we fought is a baby, and I was like, if that was a baby that was put there by the parent, it scares me the sight of the parent, how strong the parent would be, and how pissed the parent will be when they found out we killed their children.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still waiting for the deep sea gobble. But,
There you are.
I agree with your first sentence about 4. Not only because the gameplay tied in, but my biggest thing was that it felt like an epic. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of the whole, all right, well, you're hired on to protect the town, and it just will slowly deal with bigger and bigger threats. I like more along the lines of, like, you're on a journey going somewhere. Like, you're not just a town protector who's conveniently only has to fight the small things first, and then slowly things get bigger.
And
No, like,
you have
you're just
an
traveling
objective
to-
from the start. From the start,
Yeah.
your mission is to discover what the hell is going on.
Yeah,
That-
even if it's a super weak epic, reason to go on an epic, like generally epics have really stupid beginnings. Like
Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, like it's get rid of a ring. In 4 use cases, find out what this weird crystal is that I've been keeping in my hat for these years. So like, but then you make it more interesting by introducing small discoveries over time.
right.
Yes.
So what
Um,
about you, Fort?
Mad.
Yes.
What's your favorite story in the Monster Hunter universe already told?
Well, I can't. Well, since everybody knows that I came in on Monster Hunter World, I'm not too familiar with the other stories.
So you can just say world if you like.
Yeah, I'm just like World will have to be the only one.
You can criticize
So
one
far.
story. Even if it's the only one, you can still criticize it.
I mean, though, I wish they
you like
they
World
added
story?
more to it. I wish they added more to the story and World. Granted, yes, it's not really about. I mean, you really can't say much. You really can't put much story into it because the main thing is, okay, you're a hunter, you go hunt monsters. That's it. But I mean, but still, it would have been cool if they added a little bit more or extended more on the story that's already there.
Okay. I have a question for you to give you a little bit more options as well. What was your favorite like chapter of Worlds? Like, what was your favorite like area to go to?
The favorite area?
Yeah, what section of the story was your favorite?
I'll have to say the forest.
The opening forest?
Okay.
Yeah, the opening forest.
Okay.
I
To be fair, the forest is probably the best map on world. It was like the most intricate.
I know it has half the monsters.
It's also the biggest by far.
Yeah. Yeah.
Forts.
Well, also because more happened. Well, for me at least, it's like more stuff happened. You're after they're shipwrecked. They find themselves in the forest.
It's also the introduction,
and
so
they're
it's going
running.
to leave a bigger impression on you.
Yeah, and they're running from the smaller Jagras.
Yeah.
And then eventually further down the story, you're fighting Great Jagras, and then Anjanath comes out of nowhere, and they're trying to get away from it. And then they find Puki Puki and
Kuliako?
the Rathian, and Kuli, and all those other ones. So it's more, even though they're low end. Well, they're low end monsters, but still, it's like, it's the beginning of your journey, right? So you're put against these monsters that would otherwise seem impossible to fight, but still you manage to pull through despite your low end armor.
Yeah, I see that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I'm going to cherry pick two things out of the Monster Hunter universe for my favorite. Because
if you say that manga from the Fairy Tail author, I'm going to hit you.
Oh, you're talking about Monster Hunter Roshi? No, Die in a Fire. If you
God,
like that, I hate it.
I already don't like that author, but that is god awful.
Oh no, I have complained about that manga profusely. No, I hate it. Stupid wind element building.
So stupid. It's like,
but I want wind element.
Mashima is
so anime tropey.
Sorry Mashima is really bad with that. He has a new manga right now that's from the start is nuts with that stuff. And he has good designs. He was one of those people, like, if you had someone that knew how to write a story, he could draw for you, because that's all he's good for, to draw. Same thing with the Bleach author, and he has a new manga too now. So, yay!
How dare you imply Beach is just a run-on thing with no real plot that just kind of keeps going and going and going?
I'm implying that because I have every single volume of that, so I can say that.
I don't know what that is. Anyways.
Moving on.
So I'm going to cherry pick two parts from two games that I will say are my favorite parts of a story in Monster Hunter. First of all, the one comes from Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, and it's the dealing with an invasive species in Monster Hunter. So this is when Seregius first shows up in the world.
I'm sorry, but that sounds like a PSA, like the title of a PSA video.
Dealing with an invasive species.
Well, it's what it is. It's a part of the story that I found really interesting. We're having an invasive species in the Monster Hunter world, which wasn't anything that was really tackled before. It's always they're in their own environment, but now it's sort of like a living, moving environment. Like, what happens if you introduce, a monster's not supposed to be where it's at? That kind of started because of the frenzy virus and all that kind of. Well, the Apex one actually, because it was an Apex.
Is that the part where the cutscene with the lens guys, with the guy has the Babel lens on his back, and the Seragio shows up and kills them? That part of the game?
That is the discovery of the root cause of the Seregios leaving their habitat. Yes, that is part of it. More so for me, it's when you basically fail a quest for story reasons because it drives off the Rathian you're supposed to capture.
I thought it just killed it straight up.
I don't know if it killed. Did it kill it? I don't know. It's been a long time. It's been since my first daughter was born.
By the way, it was nice hearing your handler actually panic and be like, "Barrel, get out!"
It was a very unique part of the story. I don't care for the big story overall because I hate the frenzy virus and I don't like Apex. I don't. It feels like another shoehorned mechanic in to make a monster harder instead of just
So
making
you are
more
saying
monsters.
you don't like the double apex Super Saiyan monkeys?
So
No.
make a
No.
make a note of the whole. She tells you to bail because I actually have a point to make about that later.
So that's the first one I like, and the second one I like. Wow, brain fart. I got so focused on the Seregios thing.
That happens.
What was the other one? It was in World.
When the handler's on Devil Joe's back and she calls him a pickle.
No.
That is pretty funny though.
It is. It's funny. Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember. I like seeing the ecology stuff. That's me. I like monster ecologies, but the story overall of Monster Hunter World was just garbage to me.
Knowing you, I
Like-
think it would be the part where the handlers finds out that the Rotten Vale and the Coral Highlands are like the death and rebirth whole thing, and she catches that flower.
I mean, there's cool themes there. Don't get me wrong, and I like the ideas of the stories. It's just the execution I don't really
not
care
not
for.
going to say that the execution could have been done better, but
Yeah,
I like the area, by the way, just because I like the ocean, and everything that dies floats out to the very bottom of the ocean and eventually makes its way back
Yeah.
up to us. So I really like the real life ecology tie in there. I thought that was cool.
me too.
Yeah, like I said, I do monster ecologies. I've written 43 of them. I love them, but it's just not. It's just not executed well in the story department. So, meh.
I mean, it's their second try, so
No, like I said, they tried in the older ones. If you
they
read the
did.
quests, they tie together.
I mean, can you say they tried? I'd say Pokemon Red and Blue tried better.
Yeah, but meh. Like I don't. It's hard for me to say like I cared about
This is
Pokemon Red and Blue story.
I'd say this is the first time they made a story focus game,
Yeah,
because
Yeah,
previously
that's
the
true.
story was there alongside the game. This time, the story was the game.
I wouldn't even say
Like-
it was alongside
Right.
the game, because Monster Hunter, for me at least, was always a mechanical focused game. Like even Dark Soul, the
Right.
Soulsborne series, which people tout out as the mechanical first and the lore and all that. It's like even that series puts the lore ahead of the gameplay in some areas. But Monster Hunter for me was always
Right.
mechanics ahead of story. Same thing as fighting games. They don't give a rat's ass about story. It's just mechanics.
Hello, Mortal Kombat.
Yes, I played Mortal Kombat 9 and Mortal Kombat 10, and I still keep my statement.
The only one I ever played was 2.
Yeah, I like Mortal Kombat a lot, and I actually enjoy their story mode.
I just found weird on Mortal Kombat 10 where everyone has a kid that's a clone of them.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Didn't say it was good for storytelling. I just enjoy it.
So the next point was, I think you had said, Fortuan, what do you think is a good way to tell a Monster Hunter story?
Okay, Mad. Let's start with you.
Okay. What's a good way to start the story?
to tell.
Or just do a
Yeah.
Monster Hunter story. What would be a good way to execute a Monster Hunter story?
Well, let's see. Of course, obviously, you have to have your setting, which would be, whether it's a forest area or a open world. I would say an open world.
Can you hold on just a second? I totally just remembered what I was going to say. I liked in World.
Oh,
No.
what's that?
The Diablos reveal. That one small cutscene.
There.
That is the most awesome reveal of any monster.
That's
ever.
the one where it explodes out of the ground while you're fighting.
The Barrot.
Yeah.
You're not
Right,
even
but
fighting the Barrot. The
then
Barrot
you
just
fall
attacks
down.
you, I think.
Yeah, but then you fall down, and then there's the basically waterfall of sand, and it just walks through it
And
silently.
you can see
Oh,
his
man.
eyes behind the sand. This literally the scariest thing in the entire game.
Yeah, the most intimidating thing in all of Monster Hunter. I'm sorry, Matt. I just remembered it, and I was like, I can't forget. Go ahead.
So, so an open world. Uh, I would say in a not a forest, but more like a plains.
Mm-hmm.
And you have your hunter running, right? And he or she or whatever, main character. They're running. They're just running. And in the distance, you hear a roar, and you suddenly hear explosions and like something's like two entities are fighting each other.
Okay.
So then, and as you see the hunter, you see from over his shoulder, he sees two dragons fighting each other, and they're locked in the turf war. And he goes off. He takes his weapon and he preps himself, and he gets his wits about him, and he goes straight for him. As you have these two giant monsters just fighting it out, and then he, once he reaches up to that point, he comes and he doesn't find the monsters, but he finds the destruction of a village that is familiar to him or her, but it's not his. I'm gonna, for sake of argument, I'm just gonna say him.
I have a question. So would our playable character be a character at all, instead of being just a mute blank slate for us to use? Because as it in every single game, our character is not a character. It's just something we can play with. It's not even Link from Legend of Zelda or Gordon Freeman.
Well, right. Well, I'm saying if you were to have a story, if it depends on the story though. I mean, are you talking about a movie?
No, but I mean, if
a game,
if it was a game, would you like to put characteristics like?
No, because that's not immersing yourself in that character, because everybody has their own idea of how they see themselves in the character or in the game or any story element. That's like saying, okay, well, here's the character you're going to play. It's already pre-made. This is what he likes to wear. This is how he sounds like.
I mean,
this is what this. Here's his style of whatever, and people don't tend to like that. They like to build their own representation of themselves and apply that to the character.
I think that's debatable. Like, if you can still put personality forth through the character, you can still customize him. Like the Michael, Franklin, and Trevor from GTA 5. You can fully customize their appearance, clothes, beard, hair, everything, and they still have a personality. You can still put your own spin on them, and they still have their way of being. Same goes for Link on the more recent Zeldas. You can change his clothes, his weapons, but he still is Link. He still has a personality. He still is the most basic of basics, a character that reacts to a certain manner to certain things. I think it can be done.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, then again, Link is a very known character.
And his name is Link.
He's been around for a long time. Right.
His name is Link because we should link to him. That's what they made him for. Yeah, but
as opposed to a character in Monster Hunter, because that could be anybody. That's like your basic generic character, That's, like, okay, here's a person, whether you want him male, female, whatever, that's up to you. Now just customize them and then just play as this character, but the character itself doesn't have any, there's no personality that I could see or any, it's like all the other characters in the game. World, for of course I'm gonna have to go with World. Like you got your, Fiverr Bro, and then you got your handler, you got your commander.
Fire Bro is the guy
and
that
the
always
admiral.
eats, right? That's always it.
Yeah. He's sitting there like,
Yeah.
he's just like this cool guy laid back or whatever. He's just eating, but at the same time, he doesn't do anything. So he makes you do his work while he's sitting there like, doing his thing, which is basically
Eating
nothing.
himself to death.
But yeah, right. So and then you got your handler, and then you got the commander, you got the admiral, and then you got the other characters that you meet in the game that, especially the first one that you meet, who happens to be this mysterious guy who's hunting the one of the elder dragons. And then you're like, well, who's this guy? And then until later on in the story, it's revealed who he's hunting and whatnot. And I'm pretty disappointed in that guy because in the end, he doesn't do anything. He just stands next to the what is it, the research guy or the biological guy, whatever.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I said that before.
Yeah, and I see him, and he's just standing there yawning. I'm like, what the hell are you doing?
I waited my
Go
whole
hunt
life to hunt
something.
this. I'm gonna watch you
just
do
go
it.
hunt. Go
I mean,
hunt something. Go do something with your life.
To be fair to him, Mad, he uses a insect glaive, but he doesn't have an insect.
Yeah,
He's insectile.
yeah.
Yeah. He's one of the Wyverians, so he lives for a long ass time, so he doesn't care.
Yeah, so it's like, it's, disappointing well, at least for that character, because he looks like a badass, that he could really kick ass.
Yeah.
But in the end, he's just standing there not doing anything. He's just, being a lazy ass.
Is his name the Seeker or the Tracker? Because there is that old lady, and I always get the two confused. Who is the Seeker? Who's the Tracker? Because those are
I don't
their
know.
I don't
titles.
remember. And here's another thing. I think this was a loop in the story. Like that old lady, the older lady, the older hunter, when she gets in the situation and she's in trouble, and the handler wants to go and help her, but then your character stops her or whatever, and then she's like, I gotta help her or whatever, I gotta help her, and she's like in tears. So it's like, well, okay, why? I can understand you wanting to help somebody, but to the point where you're bawling your eyes out for that person, you just met them.
I don't
really,
think she was crying. I just think her eyes are weird.
Unless
That's true.
Unless no, she was
Really?
crying. Yeah, she was
I mean,
crying. She was trying to get there, and she was wiping her eyes. That I remember in the.
I don't remember that. It's
Uh,
just she
unless-
has weird eyes to me, so I just assumed it was that.
Unless she reminded her of her mother or something. That's the only conclusion I can come up with.
I mean, she.
because I was thinking,
I
why would
had-
she cry?
If I had to
and-
give a
and
reason,
I can understand
she
her
talks
wanting
a
to
lot
help her,
about
but
her
why would she,
father,
like,
and especially
Ball
her
out her
grandfather.
eyes for her, and she
So
just
maybe
met her.
because it seems like an old person, that's the connection, but that's a weak ass excuse.
Yeah, that's what I thought at first. I figured, maybe it's
I mean,
maybe they
it's
were
implied
supposed to
that
add somewhere in the
the-
story where
that old
she was
lady
probably
and
her
the
mother, her
commander
grandmother, maybe,
were married.
or a
and
relative.
The commander's grandson is like they're all related. That's implied, at least. But I don't remember the handler crying at that point, so I can't say much there.
I just want to say old lady's best character.
Yeah,
Straight
I'll
up.
have to look it up on
She has a
YouTube.
cane that fires dunk points. It's really cool.
Well, it's because she's not even a hunter, and she's just like, get down, leave, I'll take care of this. And she's like, I'm trained. to kill these
Yeah.
things.
Can't you see this big sword made of Dragon Ball on my back?
Nah, it's good, kid. I've been out here for days.
For years.
Yeah,
It's true. Yeah.
yeah.
I like
So
it.
Yeah,
So
she's really
that-
cool.
yeah, that would at least be the beginning of my story. Because for me it'd be like sort of
Okay.
that mystery, but that yet action in
Sure.
that beginning.
Okay. So what would you do, Naraki? Okay.
I can tell you're very enthusiastic pronouncing his name. He's like anime. He's like anime. It's an anime name.
Sorry. I can't remember.
Anime's for nerds.
I can send you a YouTube clip later that they say the
Okay.
character's name, so it helps.
Okay.
So, I don't know if everybody read the book after you unlock the final bedroom, the really big one on Astera.
Mhm.
You have a book right beside your bed that gives a lot of lore about in mythos
Right.
about Monster Hunter, and that really got me thinking about the direction they could take the story. Like, if in a future game or DLC or expansion or what have you, the commission goes further into the new world and they find a really old Elder Dragon and one that's able to talk. Because in a lot of the snippets from the older games and all that, the Elder Dragons are said to be sentient, they can think, they're as smart as humans and Wyverians, they are not just animals, that's why the whole war of the ancient civilization broke out and they killed half of the population. So the idea
Yep.
that we could find a Partunax from Skyrim, for example, a dragon that would be willing to talk to us like the dragon on that story of the book talk to that human
Right.
or Wyverian. That would be really interesting to me, like to further develop the lore of the monsters, like why the dragons hate so much, like the humans go more in depth with the ancient civilization, why they did what they did, how they did it, especially the Frankenstein dragons that use 10 elder dragons to make a giant ass biological mecha, which is really awesome if you stop to think about it. I wish you could
Yeah.
fight one of those things one day, but not likely. How I
Okay.
would make a story on a Monster Hunter games, like I would take a page of the Dark Souls, the whole Soulsborne thing, and Monster Hunter 4.
Okay.
Make lore and game mechanics work together. That's how you like create how to say this. Make it so your character has a reason to do what he's doing. Give him a goal. It can be like really far, like the Frodo take the ring to Mount Doom. One really far in the distance, but give him one and make it so both gameplay and lore talk together, so that there isn't any big discrepancies with one another. Like, you really can't kill elder dragons in lore. They're supposed to be godlike beings that control the elements, but we are walking around with hats made out of them. Meanwhile,
Mhm.
every other person in Astera, the best armor they have is a Enginet breastplate. So those things really don't talk with one another. So if they did more, I think that would be better. Like if it showed the player is not some godlike being outside of other players that you'll see on the hub, but the NPCs as well, because that kind of separation between lore and gameplay really bugs me sometimes.
Yeah. Same here.
Outside of that, one thing I really would like more is Pokédex-like entries on the monsters, but not as absurd like Macargo has the skin temperature of the sun, or Machamp can throw 1,000 punches in a second. Nothing really absurd or stupid like Pokemon does. Like,
Okay.
the more you research a monster, the more you find out about him, the more the research people tell you about him, both in the old world and the new world. Like,
So, kind of like how our current book works, but less about like weaknesses and drop and more about lore of the monster.
yes, like the more you find out,
I could get behind that.
the more you find out about the monster, the more you hunt that monster. Like, after arbitrary number 100 kills on Astra, you unlock a special lore tidbit about her. The more you hunt a creature, the more you know about that creature, the more lore about you get, and not just like ecology stuff, but like, once upon a time, said monster attacked said village, and that is the story, and it tells you the story of when that happened. You know, like, to show
Okay.
that world has a story, that things happened, and maybe like the commander once fought a Rathalos to protect his village after you hunt a Rathalos so many times, and then not even you read that, but the commander tells you that. More interaction with the NPCs telling you about the world, about themselves.
So, you kind of like learn about the character versus just like, it's a Rathalos, it breathes fire.
Yeah,
The
like,
commander would instead be like, hey, I once used to fight these things or something like that.
yeah, and like, I know
Huh.
this is really played out, but you go talk to an NPC, and you have the option to talk, and like, you have a tree that goes and like, tell me more about yourself or your life. And when you have Wyverians that are beings that live for up to 1,000 years, you really can tell some stuff. So I find that an wasted opportunity. Also, I really would love if we could play as Wyverians,
Back in my day.
because I have an unhealthy crush on the Third Fleet Commander.
Back in my day, you had to learn how to use a sword and a shield before we gave you two swords.
Back in my day, we didn't have
That's true.
ancient civilization technology to blow a monster face. Also tell you
Okay.
more about the ancient civilization. Really want like more of that. The more you can put that in game, outside of really bad manga and guidebooks, the better. Because not only you have reliable information that stuff is real, like is canon. You don't have to. Oh, but it's on a old ass guidebook, so you really can't be sure you have that in game. So it's a lot more certain that some things are real, happen. It's just better to have every tidbit of information in a single place than just spread out. It's the World of Warcraft problem. A lot of the lore is on books and guidebooks, and not on the game.
Okay. Yeah, I remember the brief period I played WoW, that being true.
And that causes problem. That that causes problems in game, because a lot of people, like, from one expansion to another, a lot of the lore that sets up the expansion is on the book, but people don't read the book, so they go to the next expansion. They're like, "Why is this happening? This doesn't make sense." But you're telling people to buy a book to know that, and people don't want to spend more money, so it causes that problem as well.
That's a Blizzard problem. That's not a WoW problem. There's Diablo lore hidden behind the one obscure book series in the
Yeah.
in the
Yeah,
series.
I can't disagree there. Definitely. Overwatch hasn't.
Can we buy...
Overwatch hasn't read
Can we-
that yet.
You said there's a book series for Diablo? Or
Yes.
can I get an audiobook version narrated by Deckard Cain?
Oh God, yes.
That would be amazing.
Please. I have one that
Um,
tells the backstory of Deckard Cain when he was a kid. It's a really good book.
I just want old Deckard's voice more. Malfestio was a demon.
He's really fun to play on Heroes of the Storm.
Stay a while and listen.
That is one of his ultimate abilities on Heroes of the Storm, and he has like 3 different stories when he does that. He puts the enemy players
Yeah.
to sleep, and he tells up to 3 different stories. It's such a good detail.
So what was your idea, Toaster?
So I'm a huge fan of mixing things up in games. Like, I think what Monster Hunter kind of needs is a new revival, not just in graphics wise, but a new revival story wise and gameplay wise a little bit. I'm not talking some dramatic like, oh, first person monster hunting, but I'm talking more along the lines of
it'd be like first person Vespoid swatting. Right?
Boo. But I'm thinking more along the lines of kind of how I'm gonna reference a game we played previously on SideQuest. How Warframe has implemented a new open world area.
I thought you were gonna go with EVO.
Nope.
Dang it.
I don't think EVO's had any changes in the last 2 years.
Go ahead.
But how Warframe went from a corridor shooter to this big open area, and they have a new another big expansion coming up called Fortuna that looks cool as hell, but unrelated. I think the next Monster Hunter should start off, and this is my dream Monster Hunter, by the way. Like, I've been planning this for a while.
Oh.
I think the next Monster Hunter should start off with you designing your character, character creation screen.
Human and Wyverian.
And you have to pick a weapon. Like, actually pick a weapon at the start.
Oh,
and then,
cool.
Once you've done that, it does, like, a zoom in from, like, space of Earth.
You mean a zoom out?
Earth. What? No,
Welcome to Planet ER?
From space down to, like, zooming in, kind of like how Planet Earth kind of starts off, I think.
But it's just, you said you create your character, then it zooms in on Earth. I was like,
no,
doesn't zoom out?
You create your character, fades to black,
okay.
And then it cuts to a scene in space.
Got confused.
Looking down at the planet, and then it slowly zooms in down to a forest, and then down to eventually over your shoulder. And you get control of your character right then. And, it gives you, gentle hints like, press forward to walk. That type of thing.
So no interest
but there's
cinematic?
No interest cinematic. Well, I mean, other than zoom in, just, you go start walking. And there's no handler or anything talking to you. Just, you're moving in and something like that, and you walk around, you start seeing like some endemic wildlife, some maybe Apatos or whatever one they decide to choose for this game.
Bullfangos.
And maybe a couple Jaggies or something like that. Maybe like have like you get attacked by like a small tiny pack of Jaggies so it can teach you how to fight and swing your weapon.
Very Jurassic Park-esque.
But as you've been going on, the day's getting darker and it's starting to get dark, it's starting to get more auburn in the sky, and clearly the sun's starting to go down, and you just see a message pop up on screen of, it's getting dark, maybe I should look into setting up camp. And so like you do get like a little pointer for this one, and it kind of points you to a nearby clearing where then it prompts where you'd like to set up your tent. And you set it up and you go into like this camping animation where you go and you sleep for the night. And when you wake up, it continues from there. You'll continue, you pack up your tent, you keep exploring on, or maybe you make a mark of where this clearing was on your map. And you're like, you'll get another mention pop up, and it's basically your hunter thinking to himself, I'm getting kind of hungry and my food supplies are running low. I should go take care of this.
Wait, so the hunter would have a voice?
No, like a little kind of text pop up, floating text. They wouldn't,
like a thought bubble.
Yeah.
Almost, yeah.
Like a little, I think of it as like the fading words from Journey. I think Journey handled that well.
Yes.
I never played the Journey,
yes.
so don't trust you.
If you ever get a PS3, do it.
Unlikely, but okay.
Yeah. So you get prompted in your character. It kind of walks you through like, oh, you can go hunt things. Also, you can go. You can make this farm. You can pick these seeds, and you can go. Maybe you should take them back to that clearing, and it'll ask you where a spot you want to lay down a little farm patch, like a little patch of land, so you can plant these seeds. And this continues on for like a day or two, and then one day you come back. It's like it's getting dark. Time to head home. I'm thinking a little bit kind of like Pikmin a little bit here, but it's getting dark. Time to head home. And when you show up at camp, there's a feline there who's like going through your fields, and you can kind of like, you have to catch him real quick, and you offer him some of your food, and he kind of like nods and sticks around, and you wake up in the morning, you find him tending your crops for you. And slowly over time, as you're starting to slowly like provide for yourself and hunting monsters, eventually like maybe your temp gets attacked by a Jagras, or a great Jagras, like an actual threat. Not a big one, but some rank 1 monster you can just beat the shit out.
What's the raptor one from the demo for Ultimate?
For Generations?
The green one, what's the name?
Great Macau.
Yeah.
Great Macau is the good
Macau
one, I think. I really like that one.
Yeah. But he'll like attack your camp and you can fend him off, maybe defend your Palico because the Palico is like comes to you for help. And then as you continue on and more Palicos start showing up. And then eventually as you wake up in the morning, you actually hear a voice, like a cry, someone yelling help. And so you book it off into the forest and you find another person and you bring them, you save them from something. Again, another early game monster like a Jagras or something. And you bring them back to camp and you help them set up a tent and stuff like that. And to make the rest of this subject go faster, eventually you just start having more and more people show up. And then you can send them out to look for supplies, or maybe they head off to their village and they tell other people about your little camp and more people show up. And eventually you are the start of a new hunting village and you're basically put in charge of, you're the chief now, you're the head of the village.
Huh.
And you get to make decisions based on like if you want to put up guards, if you want to have more people do farms, what you want them to do, if you want to build walls around your place to stop like a monster from attacking, or eventually if you want to set up a hunters guild to start going after monsters for you or along with you. So you're like the founding person who started the Hunters Guild way back long ago. Make this, super prequel for Monster Hunter. So you are the founder of the Hunters Guild, and it's your design in your town. So because whenever you put down like the guild hall, you choose where to put that. Whenever you put down the spa or the hot springs or whatever you choose to put in your town, it's you choosing how it's built. And so it's less of, oh, we hired you, Hunter, to defend this village, but, I mean, the second something comes off, you can just kind of piss off to wherever you want to do and leave our village to ruin. Instead, it's your village, something you care about and you contribute towards and you started. And there's not an annoying handler telling you what to do the whole time, because it's just you trying to survive.
Okay. That's an interesting idea.
That's my ideal. I know it leaves out that storytelling part a little bit, but I think that's kind of what I'd like, is that it's less storytelling and more you making your own story.
Okay. Well, my idea, like I said, I talked about this in the SoCal Elkite episode, but that was more for a movie out of Monster Hunter. But if you were to turn this into a game, you start out with character select, you choose male or female. That's it. You don't get to customize how they look. Because you're kids, basically.
Ooh.
Ooh, man.
And you pick a female, you'd be the older sister. If you're the male, you're the younger brother. Starts out with you learning
like a death wish. Whenever you pick the older sibling on a fantasy story, you are dead.
Well,
I was gonna ask, does the one you not pick die?
the tutorial level is literally like you and your sister playing out in the whatever village. You guys are play fighting with each other. You're basically fighting another person, but you like Toaster, like you said, you pick your main weapon from an early age. So you're basically, this guy is this, right? This girl is this. Whatever, and it's more of a story-driven game, which it normally isn't something I like, but it's I think it would be a different way to take Monster Hunter. So you're going, you're just like interacting with your sister or your brother, and you guys run off in the woods because mom says you have to go get herbs for dinner or something.
A festival.
So go out there.
Yeah, sure. Let's go with the
you learn.
Mom needs herbs for the brownies, kids.
And then you basically you go out, you come back, and a Rathian is attacking your
Whoa.
village.
Okay, that escalated
It's
quickly.
That's like generic anime game opening.
Hold on.
No,
Hold
Toaster.
on.
We need an evil.
Wait,
we need an evil guy.
Let
Right.
Fortran keep going.
It's because the town idiot went and got a Rathian egg and came back without slaying the Rathian.
Oh.
So, the Rathian just destroys this village, but in the fight, the guild couldn't respond fast enough. In the fight, the Rathian loses 2 tail spikes, right?
Yeah.
So then the decimated village, there's 2 survivors, you and your sister. And you guys have this emotional moment, try to figure out what you got to do. And then the more cool-headed sister pulls out a map from the marble and says, "Hey, we can go to here." And this is like the big hunters hub, like the giant town that's in the continent. And I keep in mind, I planned this out during the 2nd generation of the game.
Oh.
So, this is a story that's been in my head for a long time. And this is sort of gamifying it. Then the next part of the game is you still learning how to use your weapons. So you only have like bone or wood weapons or whatever, and you've got whatever armor you can make. But you're kind of doing a journey from the village that's destroyed to this town that's very far away. You have to go through a couple of the biomes that you would normally go through, like the forest, the jungle, the desert, and then possibly, I don't know, maybe the swamp. And then you finally get to the big city. Well, on this way, at least in the early game, you are getting hunted by a pack of Velocidrome. So
what's that monster again?
you have to. Velocidrome is the old raptors. It was before Great Jagras and Macau.
So
blue
many
one.
of them that get them confused.
Yeah, so you're basically being hunted by other animals, and you are fighting for your survival. You're not hunting as a hunter. You are hunting because it is hunter be killed, basically. And this would be a game that has a game over state because you would die because you don't have guild support. So basically, it's a more story-driven game. Kind of think like the new God of War or other similar games like in the Naughty Dog vein, where you're sort of like on this
I really
crazy
don't like the
adventure.
idea. I really don't like Naughty Dog games.
Hold on. You still have Monster Hunter gameplay. You still have Monster Hunter combat. But what you're doing is it's more of a story-driven idea. And then you go through this journey basically to get to the town, and your progression is still fighting the monsters and getting their gear and whatnot. But the idea is that even though you're in the forest, that Rathian is still around, and you still got to avoid that Rathian or try to take her down yourself. Eventually, what happens later on is you get to that town, and if the game kind of ends there or not, I don't know. But the movie that I was talking about, the brother and the sister split paths. The sister becomes part of the guild. She becomes a guild knight. And the brother becomes part of a hunting squad that is on a hell-bent revenge to kill this Rathian.
You see, I like.
I'm sorry. I have a comment for the audience real quick.
I know.
I have a comment.
This is super anime.
I have a very specific comment for the audience.
I came up with this when I was like 15.
It's
right?
not about the anime, trust me.
Real quick, for anybody in the audience, if you know the plot of Attack on Titan, this sounds very familiar.
Yes.
Now, I have seen Attack on Titan, but I came up with this before Attack on Titan was a thing.
We know you did.
A series of dedicated knights.
So I like that the Rathian attacked the village because some idiot did it stupid, not because it's evil. It's an animal. It went to protect its young. I like that part. The boy going back to on a revenge field trip because he didn't learn a single thing on during the whole journey.
It wasn't you that you're not the dumb boy that brought back the
I know,
egg,
but I'm saying
If you choose the boy, you kind of would.
I'm
be,
saying
yes.
the boy didn't learn that the Rathian only did that because it's an animal and that's what animals do. The boy didn't learn a thing. For the boy to go back on a revenge murder spree would be the enemiest thing an anime has ever animated.
I see what you mean. Instead of having it so he initially starts off the journey filled with hate, and then as he's learning to survive from these monsters, he's also observing that these monsters aren't monsters. They're just animals.
Yes.
So here's the thing, okay? It's a personality difference.
Yeah.
It's the sister is the cool-headed one that's very practical, so she becomes part of the guild because she understands the balance of nature. The boy is too young to understand that, right? And he sees it as evil. He sees it as everything is against him. There are people who like that, who are like that. They see the world is against them, right? And that's sort of where he takes it.
That's a fine line.
So he
because
becomes.
If the boy's too young, you can't have him for gameplay reasons, because he's too young for you to believe. Without him being a god like Atreus is in God of War. But if he's too old and he still doesn't evolve as a character by the end of it, it becomes unrealistic for the person. It's a fine line to tread, I think.
So, what this is it's not a journey of multiple years. It's literally like a dash. Think of like a week to get to the city. Right?
Okay.
This isn't supposed to be a long journey. As far as like years, right? Maybe months, but it's not something that he's going to grow up in that amount of time. They are literally running to the city to survive because their village, their support is gone.
At times like this where you wish Monster Hunter had horses for people to...
Right. Basically the breaking point, they do grow up, but they grow up in their own sort of separate paths when they reach the city, with her becoming a guild knight and him becoming this sort of like I don't know, like the expedition team in Monster Hunter World. He's part of the hunting crew that goes out and gets things. But the thing is, like, he just ends up hating the monsters because he's they wreck everything and they blah blah blah, and she's like learning about like the values of the guild. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how I took it. And basically the culmination of this, I don't want to go too much further into it, but the culmination of this is a final hunt against that Rathian. They finally track down that Rathian. The fail state of that quest depends on who you picked.
Oh.
So if you are the girl, your goal for that quest is to capture that Rathian, despite your brother being on the same hunting party who is trying to kill that Rathian. So you have to capture it before he kills it.
Feels like multiplayer.
Kind of, yeah. And then he is trying to kill it before she captures it. So that's kind of like, it's like a dueling of mentality of the world of Monster Hunter.
That's cool.
There's the balance of nature, and then there's the hot-headed, humans must survive. Which, granted, in my opinion, the girl should be the ideal, because I like that ideal, but I wanted to have a choice. Granted...
Do they fight at the end?
No, because you don't fight other people.
I think it'd be cool to have a fight, though, kind of like the fight they did as a kid.
Yeah, because as a kid, him and...
You could do that, yeah.
He's blinded, because he's blinded by his hatred for them. And, if, let's say, if you're playing the girl and then, she captures it and she's like, yeah, now we can study it, whatever. And then he comes along, he's like, you captured it? That thing, you're supposed to kill it. And then, he takes out his blade or whatever, and he goes to try and gut it. And then she stops him. And then that's when he's like, how could you? It killed
mom.
Our village, and it killed mom and dad, and blah blah blah. And then that's when they start, and it starts, and then they end up fighting each other.
Yeah, I mean, I had thought about that,
an
but
idea.
I decided against it.
Instead of being the Rathian that attacked the village, it was the baby inside the egg that the guy got. If they found the Rathian years later, like when they're both older, it's actually the baby that was in the egg. So the rage of the boy was misplaced anyway.
We're just making his path more and more wrong.
Well, that's the point, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it was meant to be a choice, right? There are people who don't care and really like. I have killed, badge of honor. I have killed 100.
You can have that badge of honor, but
like,
the choice is still wrong.
Okay, I'm just saying that was my idea. So
I just
that
don't
was it.
want a Naughty Dog like more movie than gameplay kind of stuff.
No, it's still gonna be more gameplay and more Naughty Dog in the fact that it's a linear path.
That's better. I liked Naughty Dog when they made Jack and Dexter. Really don't like The Last of Us and all that.
I don't either. Just saying, it would be more story driven than go out and get a quest driven. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, got it.
Okay, cool. Well, that's a wrap. We've almost hit an hour and a half here on recording.
boy.
So
No Monster Balloon?
yeah, we don't have time.
Yeah, it has been a long episode, but next time there's going to be a long one.
Oh yeah, next time
Can't
is
wait.
Behemoth. Because it's PC.
Oh yeah,
And then the one after that.
you guys will have to tell me
It's
how it
probably
goes.
gonna
Not
be-
Yeah,
games.
I can't get it because I don't have a computer for that. Even if
PC
I'm going to
version.
guide a friend of mine who bought it because that's going to be his first Monster Hunter game, so I'm going to be there like a guiding hand of Jesus on his shoulder, but that's about it.
I mean, I got a lot of stuff to deal with, Toaster. A lot of games, to deal with.
You're-
Alrighty, guys.
I have one more thing,
Sure.
real quick. Who's I forgot his name, but who's that one guy that I guess the show's #1 fan, as I like to call him?
Oh, I don't remember his name.
I'll have to go look on the
It was
on the
like
Reddit
I
posts.
believe it was German.
Right? Yeah,
It's
I
like
don't.
a German
but he
name.
was from Reddit. He's from Germany, and he does the German podcast now.
A German podcast
nice.
about Monster Hunter. Even if I don't know German, I want to listen to that.
Heck yeah.
It's Jaeger something.
Yeah, Jaeger. Makes
Yeah,
sense.
Jaeger something. Yeah. Oh, a Jaeger podcast. I think that's what it was.
Yeah. Yep, he's a pretty cool dude. He's been with us for a while now. Yeah. We've talked to him many times. I should try to have him on at one time though he was very concerned because he was in Germany. But hey, I've had Eric's on, so and Sohel Kai
Wait, Alex is in Europe?
and Wolfie. Yeah, he's
Oh,
in
I
the
didn't know
UK.
that.
Same with Wolfie and Sohel Kai. Yep. Alrighty. So thank you, Hunters, for joining us today. I think we had a good, nice, long discussion there. This is at Fortuan. You can not at Fortuan. This is Fortuan at Hunters Hub Pod on Twitter, which you'll see Fortuan tagged to that name there. And we will see you guys next quest. But on that quest, where will you be, Mad?
I will be at the Twitters at madwolf_7.
Okay. And Naraki,
Yeah,
where will
you
you be?
did it. You said it right. I will
Cool.
be I will be on Twitter at Naraki Maul, like Maul as in Darth Maul, MAUL, because I made that Twitter once I was 10 years old. Because Twitter is old, and I am old. We are all old, so I'll be there. I'm there usually retweeting fan art of stuff I like. So if you want to reach out there.
Okay. Toaster.
You can find me slowly building my own village from the ground up. Not in Monster Hunter yet, though. I've been playing City Skylines,
Ha!
but soon.
What happened to Octopath?
If I can steal the Switch from my roommate, I will be playing Octopath more.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, that was fun.
Oh yeah, it's always fun.
Oh, you know, I'm so sorry I'm recording the podcast.
I am so sorry. There is like 50 motorcycles that went by during that.
I'm going
And a
to
bunch of trucks with loud basses. Like, it's bad. It looks so bad.
I'm going to